Good morning, how are we doing? Hope you're good. Welcome to the show, the JV show. We're Wednesday or halfway through the week. So today we're going to be talking about a zero to hero moment for me. I want to share that with you from my point in going into sort of micro detail about a point that was very difficult for me. A point in life where I nearly lost my house because I didn't even have the money to pay for the fucking mortgage, and it all just come tumbling down. If you are watching, please make sure you do me a favour and just like it, comment, engage, react, do something. We'll also, if you are looking to get yourself on the right foot, on the right path, we have a zero to hero 6-week challenge starting on the 6th of May. You can put yourself on the interest list. Look on the post above, there's a link, register your interest. First 15 places getting 25% off. Be delivered to my email list first, guys, all right? So, zero to hero. I want to talk about a specific time when I basically left a job, started to work for myself, and just was massively financially under pressure with a lot of other stuff going on as well. Now, when I left the Royal Marines, there was a job opportunity in my local college. I applied for that job, and it was like as an outdoor educational teacher, you know, to be teaching public services and sports as well. And applied for the job, got the job, and was due to start on the 26th of September 2011. And I was very fortunate to be able to get the job because you have to give a year's notice when you leave the Royal Marines. You have to give it, that year's notice. And I was lucky enough to get out of the Marines after 4 or 5 months. So I applied for early release and I managed to get out. And so I got to the point where I was just chomping at the bit to leave. I made that decision, I got out. So I ended up joining a college, and within the first month, I realised that it wasn't for me. That job was not for me. I took a massive pay cut. I took a £16,000 a year pay cut from what I was doing in the Marines, from a sergeant salary down to a low teacher's income. But the morning mine. But the main thing for me was that I was going to be at home. So that was where I was rich in terms of my new lifestyle. I didn't have to leave every Sunday to go back to the Marines. I didn't have to go back and see my kids crying because I was leaving. I didn't have to go to Afghanistan again. I didn't have to, just be involved in the military life anymore. And so I started this job, and I was at the college for 2011 to mid 2013. And then we went through a really stressful period of about 2 months. And it was where the college realised that I was doing another job. So I was doing a circuit-based job, if you like. So we were desperate for money. Taking a 16 grand a year pay cut was huge, and we were desperate for money. So I done a little boot camp on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, where it was just £5. Guys would come in, and we'd build up that business. And I'd probably make maybe nearly £400 a month from it. And it was just massively, that £400 was huge for us as a family of 4 at the time. And the college sort of knew I was doing it, but then made a big deal of it. And we went through the whole rigmarole of this disciplinary act where they were trying to get rid of me because they felt like it was deterring from my work, even though I had the best grades for my students. I was getting the best out of my students, in the office, which is mental. Anyway, I ended up leaving the college. We ended up parting company, and I was suddenly on my own. I was suddenly by myself. I was suddenly not earning any money from anyone else, and I was very, very afraid about what was going to happen. I suddenly had gone from a £40,000 a year job in the Royal Marines to not earning anything. And my first month in business for myself, I simply wasn't taking enough to pay for the mortgage, for food, for look after my kids, to pay the bills. So I borrowed money off my mum to help pay off some debts, and I suddenly started working for myself. And those the circuits that I was doing on the on the Wednesday and the Saturday, I suddenly turned into a business and created more classes and tried to build up a PT business as well. So I tried to deliver a business, and at the time I didn't even know what a P&L sheet was. So I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't know how to get customers in. I didn't have a website. I didn't know how I was going to tell people about my services. And it was a really difficult time, because I remember at one point, literally the only thing we could afford, or when the kids come to stay with me, was beans and toast. So I'd end up literally just buying cheese and beans and bread and milk, and that would pretty much be my shopping. And when the kids come along, I'd have to just make beans and toast with cheese on top. And we always laugh about it now, because I pretty much fed me and the kids on beans and toast for 4 months because there was no money to buy any more food, And I literally, when people say they don't have money, I genuinely mean there was no more money than that. I couldn't afford to run my car, so I had to walk everywhere. So I wasn't paying the insurance, I had to declare it on, and I couldn't afford the petrol. So I had to walk to work, I had to walk to pick up the kids. And it was really, really, really tough 4 or 5 months. But I think the key was that I was grafting, really, really grafting to build up the business. I was learning. I was constantly on social media. I was up all night learning how to run a business, learning how to present myself. I was watching all the guys that were being successful in the business and learning how to build up a client base, a business base, and this was back down in 2013, 14 and 15, 15 is when it started really, end of 2014 is when it really started turning after a year. And I was getting more clients. I was just charging super cheap. I was just trying to get people through the door. I was just trying to build up a reputation. But I had all of this going on, as well as a lot of the mental stress of leaving the Marines. So not only was I struggling financially and trying to keep my house and trying to keep my kids fed and me fed, at the same time I was trying to deal with the mental illness that I was facing from the transition of leaving the Marines to becoming a civilian again. That transition was creating a large amount. It caused me to suffer with PTSD. So I was struggling with the PTSD, I was struggling financially, and a lot of the time it was constantly, shields up, swords up, battling, putting out fires. And this process is, I kind of feel like what makes me even more grateful about the way that I live today, and it's really some of the origin of those struggles are the reasons why I decided to do what I wanted to do. I was on a podcast yesterday with a great guy called Ben Williams, and he was asking me some really detailed questions. I was like, these are really good questions to make me think a little bit about why am I doing this. And I think we all struggle, and at the time there was no support. I didn't know anybody down here. I had just left the Marines and come back, and me and my wife parted company. We divorced and separated, so I was literally just on my own with maybe just 1 or 2 people that I knew, but they didn't really know what we was going through. I didn't really have a best friend at the time, and it was a very difficult time. It was a really difficult time, but we managed to spin it around, and after a year we managed to build up a business, and my local business was thriving. We're the biggest in my hometown, we're the busiest. We've got over, at one point we had over sort of 250 members by 2015, 2016. And I was very lucky that I was able to turn that around. Not lucky, wrong word. Fortunate that I had the ethos to work very hard to get to where I wanted to be. But so I guess my message is that it doesn't matter how low you are, you can turn it around. I've been there, I've seen how devastating and stressful it can be when you're on the brink of financial destruction, mental destruction. But if I can turn it around, you can turn it around, which is why I'm doing my Zero to Hero challenge, to take people from a very low state and get them up to a positive way of thinking that's going to change the way that you live your life. Okay, it's going to change the way that you perceive the world. It's going to make you feel healthier, fitter and stronger and give you more structure. And I just wanted to share because, I think everyone thinks I've got it perfect, but I genuinely don't. From coming from a very hard, sort of 2-3 years is the result of me today. And if I hadn't gone through that, maybe I wouldn't be the guy I am today. You don't know, but I think you, through experience and time, you go through those emotions, those struggles, and they make you stronger. They build the bridges. They are the foundations of what you become. And I'll always be grateful about my work ethic at that time to get myself out of that rut, to say, you can't dwell on this. There's kids here. You need to make sure you're looking after them. You need to show them the way. You need to lead by example, etc., etc. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you are in a place where you are struggling, there's a way out. There's always a way out. It's just hard work. You just need accountability. You just need structure. And that's what I found helped me go to the next level. I had accountability within myself. I had structure that I created myself. I had a really hard working ethic that I applied every single day. And all of the stuff I preach to you now kind of goes out the window a little bit, but sometimes you just have to eat shit for a couple of years to square yourself away, whatever the situation dictates. So if you have any questions, then please do fire them away in the comments box below. But there is always a way out of whatever situation you're in, always. It just needs a little bit of, thought. It needs a lot of action. It needs a lot of passion. And more importantly, the most important thing, it needs to have a purpose behind. So when you have your purpose, you have your drive. Right, lads, enjoy. In the link is the link to register your interest in the 0 to Hero challenge. If you're not already in a brotherhood with me, if you're in a brotherhood, you won't need to do it. I look forward to hearing from you. If you're on the podcast, make sure you leave a review for me. If you're here on this feed, make sure you like for me, share, and I will catch you soon.